Hello, Draco Ranger here, and I'm doing a deck profile and review on Cardfight Vanguard. I've never done one before, so I've been playing for about 6 months, so I finally decided to do one. It's for my Shadow Paladin deck. I really love this deck, so I'll go ahead and start. The starter you use is Full Bow. If you use the ride chain, which I do, this is the best one to start with. This is probably the best one to start with, period. Because there's only a few to use, and to be honest, this is definitely the best one, especially for using the ride chain. Basically, when you ride Blaster Javelin, which is the grade 1 of the ride chain, on top of him, you get to search your deck for a Blaster Dark, which is the grade 2. And it's a 5K, but you don't get to move it, so it really doesn't matter about that. So, I'll go ahead and start with grade 0s and then go up to grade 3, so through numbers 0, 1, 2, 3. So, start with 4 crits, 8 crits, 4 Grim Reapers, and 4 Deathfeather Eagles. I like 8 because imagine having Phantom Blaster Overlord, using his effect to bring him up to 23, and then having a Dark Sage Sharon behind him. That brings it up to 31. And then getting 2 crits, that brings it up to 41 with 4 crits. So, that is pretty insane. And that's why I have 4 crits in this deck, to try to get him up to that. And I have done it before several times actually, so it works out fine. I only have 4 draws in this deck, mainly because, well, through other cards in this deck you do a lot of drawing, so I only have 4 draws for that reason, and that reason alone. The next is, of course, the 4 hills. There's not much to say about that. Now we off to the grade 1s, which is, first one is the grade 1 of the ride chain, which is Blaster Javelin. Its effect is it gets 2,000 of full bows in the soul, which brings it from 6 to 8. And then if he boosts another card, then you can, or when he's put on rear guard, to boost actually, I think it's just when he's put on rear guard. Yeah, just when he's put on rear guard. You can discard a grade 3 from your hand to search your deck for the grade 3 of the ride chain, Phantom Blaster Dragon. So it's fairly good, but not as good as Full Bow, to be honest, but it gets the job done for the ride chain. Okay, the next grade 1s are the Black Sage Sharon, the vanilla boosters. To be honest, I don't know where the term vanilla came from, but they're the ones that don't have effect and have pretty high attack. But I mean, 8K boosting something. I mean, like I said, if you got even a non-effect Phantom Blaster Overlord, you're going to bring it up to 21. So, I mean, that's a good number right there. So that's why I have 4. Plus, it's also a good card if you don't get the ride chain. It is a good card. Next up is the Perfect Shield Perfect Shield's the Dark Shield McLee, I believe, or Maclure. Most people say like run 3. I say run 4 because you want to see as many as you can, because they'll stop Vanguard's attacks. So, but the problem is sometimes if you do run 4, you have to discard one to use another one's effect, but that doesn't happen that often, so I prefer running 4 in any of the decks I have. Next is one Garuru Bow. He's got a pretty good effect, but it only works when he attacks. So, I mean, his effect gives him, when he attacks a Vanguard and you have a Shadow Paladin Vanguard, then he gets to increase his attack by 3,000. The only problem with it is he has to be the one attacking. You can't boost somebody that's attacking. He has to be it. So that's why I only have one. But he does go up to 10k, but like I said, I don't really see the point in having more than one. And for the last of the grade 1 is the Witch of Nostrum Aaronrod. This one I like better than Skull Witch Nemen because you just rest it, discard a card, and draw a card. It's got 7k attack, so I mean boosting is pretty good. But I do like that you just have to rest it instead of having to, counterblast. Well, now is for the grade 2s. I've got 2 Blaster Darts. 2 is pretty standard because his effect isn't really that good. I mean, you counterblast 2 to retire opponent's rear guard, but it has to be in Vanguard to do it. So it's not like the regular Blaster Blade. So that's the con of having him. But he also gets +1 if Blaster Javelin's in the soul. So he can be good, and it brings him up to 10k. So he can be good, but really you only need 2. Next one is I have 1 of the Darkness Maiden Makas. The reason why I only have 1 is because really, to be honest, Counterblast 2, heavy cost just to get a card in the rear guard space behind Maka. So like you can use on Blaster Javelin to get Phantom Blaster Overlord out. But to be honest, or using to get the Aaronrod, Witch of Nostrum Aaronrod, or to set you up for a stronger card later on, but I really don't think you really need more than 1. A lot of people say use 3, but I just say use 1. Next is 2 Skull Witch Nemens. I like this card okay. Counterblast 2, discard a card and draw a card. It is a heavy cost though, and yeah, I think 2 is definitely enough. And so next is 1 Knight of Darkness Rugos. The reason why I have 1 is because of another card that I'm going to show you later. But it's basically the 10k beater. There's really no, I mean you can have up to 2, but for another card that I'll show you in a minute, I really don't think there is any point in having more than that. Now the next card is Curse Lancer. It's the Demodome Flipper. I'd say at least 2, probably 3. I might actually take out that the Knight of Darkness to put in a 3rd Curse Lancer because this is such a counterblast heavy deck. So it might be worth it to take out one of those to put in the Knight of Darkness to put in a Curse Lancer. And now for the last grade 2, this is one of the newest one from the newest pack, the Awakening of the Twin Blades. It's Knight of, I think it's Nullity Masquerade. Basically, it's 9k grade 2, but when it attacks and you have a Vanguard with Blaster in its name, it gets plus 3,000. So that brings it from 9 to 12. Now this is what makes it a lot better than the Knight of Darkness. This is why I don't have two of those, is because of this card. I mean, especially if you have grade 3s in this deck. I mean, when are you not going to have a blaster? Vanguard with blaster in his name. So that's why I run 2, because the only problem is, the reason why you might want to keep a Darkness Knight in here is because it's only when he attacks. When he's not attacking, he goes back down to 9. So, but 3,000 attack can also change. Can be change things a lot differently than a regular old 10k can. Now for the grade 3s. The grade 3 of the Ride Chain, Phantom Blaster Dragon. This one is basically the main card in the deck. Basically now it's basic for its effect, it gets plus 1,000 of Blaster Darks in the soul, and then you can counterblast 2, retire 3 of your rear guards to increase his attack by 10,000 and increases critical by 1, so he has 2 critical on him. That's a pretty good effect, but you want to use it sparingly. You really want to make sure you're going to win with it. Make sure, like, hopefully your opponent doesn't have a perfect guard to guard it. But, I mean, him using that effect with a brings him up to 21, and then the Black Mage Sharon on the back, boosting him. That brings it up to 29, and then 2 crits will bring it up to 39, so he's not too bad. Now the real main card of this deck, the Cross Ride, is Phantom Blaster Overlords. This is really the main card in the deck. He gets plus 2 if Phantom Blaster Dragon's in the soul. And he loses 2 if you don't have a Shadow Paladin, which isn't going to happen in this deck. Then you can counterblast 3, which is still a pretty heavy cost. But you discard 1 to have him increase by 10,000 plus 1 critical, so you get up to 23, and then Dark Sage Sharon behind him, that's 31, 2 crits, that's 41 with 4 crits. Unless your opponent has a perfect guard, chances are it's not going to go through. So that's why I say this deck is pure raw power. And I really like this deck. I believe it would be one of the best decks if it wasn't. I mean, it's a lot like Spectral Duke Dragon deck. If it wasn't a Ride Chain, it would probably be the best deck. Chances are, if you get the Ride Chain and use the effect correctly, you will win. So that's why this deck is my favorite. I'm not sure if I said it earlier in the video, but it demolished, absolutely destroyed my Norakami deck, and it wasn't even complete then. So, it is good. Now, if you decide you don't want to use the Phantom Blaster Dragon in there, you can use Phantom Blaster Overlord, but I would suggest, as the deck, and then put in 4 others, I would suggest using 2 Dark Dictators and 2 of the grade 3 Dark Mage. Can't remember what its name is. But it is, look at your deck, look at the top card of your deck. If it's a Shadow Paladin Superior, call it to rear guard. So it's a pretty good card effect. But I really love this deck, and I would recommend building it. So this is the Draco Ranger. This is my review, and I'm signing out.